Hi everybody, it's me again, and welcome to vlog number 3. First off, a lot of people wanted me to elaborate on how I found out that I was trans. So, that's what I'm going to talk about today for the topic. Actually, the first thing that I can remember is really not fitting in with the other boys in school and just not really comfortable with my own body. So, that's something that's kind of troubling if you're young, because, I wanted to fit in and get friends and all that. And so it was very hard for me. And the other thing that I remember is, I really didn't care about sports. I remember in the 5th grade, every Monday morning we would come in and we would talk current events. That was the thing, every Monday morning. And all the boys in class were, telling about the scores and who won this football game, who won that football game, and, this basketball game went like 3 overtimes and yada, yada, yada. And I sat there thinking, should I be interested in this? Because I'm really not. I could care less who played who yesterday or, Sunday's games. I really didn't care. And so, that was just kind of weird for me. And at recess, all the boys would just run out on the field. There was this big grassy field we had out at the school, and all the boys would just tear out there and, play football all recess long. And I'm just like, I didn't have any interest in that. I didn't have any desire to go out and get grass stains all over myself. I just liked hanging around with my friends outside in the schoolyard, or, and I never got into an organized sport at all. The only sport that I ever played was football in school, and the only reason I played football for 3 years in high school was because my dad really, really wanted me to. I know it's every father's dream to see your son score the winning touchdown at some game and stand up and say, "That's my boy, that's my son. He just scored the touchdown." But, I didn't even want to go to the games, let alone play in them. So the only sport I even thought of playing and liked was volleyball, but everyone kind of labeled that the girls' sport. My sister got to play it, but yeah, I didn't get to play it. And the only thing that I really, really did like is when I was allowed to, I really liked playing Barbies with my sister and cousin. Sometimes they let me be Scott and Skipper, the newlyweds, and that I really did enjoy. And I wasn't into competition like boys are supposed to be, out to prove they're, faster and smarter and stronger. And I really didn't care. So what? If they're better than me, that's not really my problem. So the end result of that is I was made fun of mercilessly, as you can probably guess. And, that escalated into sometimes physical attacks. But yeah, after I started Taekwondo, they kind of stopped because they realized I could defend myself if they put me in that position. And little side note to that, I got called the nickname Fruit by the time I was in the 7th grade, and yeah, it's kind of got to the point where some people actually forgot my real name. It's like, what's your real name again? My real name at the time, anyway. And then came the life-changing day. My cousin would come over for all major holidays. Christmas, Thanksgiving, Easter was no exception. So she came over this Easter, and my sister and her were rummaging around in some boxes downstairs since we just moved in and not everything was unpacked. And, of course, I wanted to be in on everything they did because otherwise I was just left alone. And it turns out that they were rummaging around in some a box of my grandma's old clothes. She had passed away a few years ago from this time, and they were, rummaging through her old clothes. And they got this really weird brainstorm to go outside and stand by the driveway like statues in these really old-timer clothes. And, of course, I wanted to be in on it. And, it was nothing new. They've dressed me up before and called me Chrissy. I don't really know where that name came from, but, they dressed me up, called me their little sister Chrissy. So, they handed me a dress and said, go put this on. So I'm like, well, okay, big deal, nothing new, right? And I sat there for the whole day. It was kind of rainy out and crummy out, so we never did actually stand outside. But this whole day, I'm sitting around in female clothes, and I feel so good about it. I mean, it feels so right. It feels like it completed a part of me that had been almost dead. It's like when you decide you're going to marry a person. You may have dated them for a while. You may have gone on dates like for years, and then one day it hits you, and you're like, this is the person that I want to be with the rest of my life. And that's the way I was. I'm like, this is the person that I want to be for the rest of my life. And so I decided to look into it more. I did more girly things and tried more girly activities, and if there was a third gender, I would have tried that because I just wanted to make sure. But since there's only one other gender to try, that's what I did. And I found out that I loved it. Everything I did was just made me feel so good. Every opportunity I got to try on girls' clothes, everyone would leave the house and I'd stay home alone and try on the girls' clothes, try on the makeup, do all the girly things. And it was so great that I never ever wanted to go back. My sister was too much of a tomboy, so I had to use my cousin's clothes when she lived with us for a couple of years because my sister's clothes really didn't interest me. Tomboy is not the kind of clothes I wanted to try out. But I decided even if I was meant to be a girl, what can I do about it? There's nothing that I can do about it. So I didn't tell anyone, and I just kind of bottled up everything inside me and decided if that's the way I meant to be, so what? I'm doing okay now. But one day I was watching TV. It was a current affair, and they had this young boy on, a story about a young boy that as soon as he turned 18, his parents got him, the surgery, and I was watching that going, wow, I had no idea they could do that. That's incredible. I got to look into this more. And so, I was like, man, this might be what I need to do someday in my life. But I was still unsure. I thought it would be nice to be a girl, but I wasn't absolutely sure. And then I was watching a current affair again one day, and they had a story about Jonna Steele on. I don't know if anyone knows Jonna Steele or has heard about her, but she was a showgirl in Vegas, and she had the surgery and went through the whole process. She was trans, and she talked about her life. And I sat there watching it thinking, my gosh, she's talking about me. Everything she said was almost my life verbatim. It was incredible. And so at last, all the pieces seemed to fit. I mean, if I was just like her and she had to go and do it, then that must mean I was that way. So at last, all the pieces fit together, and I knew that this was something. It wasn't something I made up. It was something that other people struggled with and had to be dealt with. So I knew now what to do, and thus began, it became my long and treacherous and slow process of transition. So it's kind of led up to here, and I promised I was going to stop saying more, but unfortunately old habits die hard. A little postscript to this story. Eventually I did tell my parents that I was trans and what I wanted to do, and of course they threw me in therapy like most parents would, because that's just not something you hear every day. And I was diagnosed by my therapist as having gender dysphoria. So it's not something I made up or something that I'm still, thinking about and may or may not be true. I mean, I've actually been diagnosed. It's true and it's proven, and I'm still in the process. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. There's a lot of little things in there that led up to it, but, after how many years, it's kind of hard to remember everything. And it's probably the little things that actually counted more than the big things. So, anyway, I'm just about out of time. So, I'm just going to say goodbye to everybody, and I will see you again. Hopefully I'll keep up with the bi-weekly vlogs. Bye-bye.